I've worked night shift security for almost 8 years, but nothing compares to what I saw last New Year's Eve. Even now, even after therapy, after police reports, after everything, I still avoid Ridgeway Road when the clock hits midnight. I accepted the overtime shift because I needed the money. It was December 31st, temperatures dropping below zero, snow drifting across the empty parking lot like slow-moving fog, and everyone else already leaving early for parties or countdowns. The building I was assigned to was an old office complex at the far end of Ridgeway Road, mostly abandoned except for 2 insurance agencies and a dentist office that still paid rent but barely used their rooms anymore. Quiet night. Too quiet. The first strange thing happened at 10:17 p.m. I was making my usual walkthrough when I heard a faint electronic beep echoing down the hallway. It sounded like a digital watch alarm, the old-school kind people used in the 90s. The sound repeated every 10 seconds. Beep, beep, beep. I walked toward the end of the hallway, shining my flashlight across the cubicles. Everything was clean, empty, untouched. The carpet still had those vacuum lines that told me no one had been in here since the afternoon, but the beeping kept going, steady as a heartbeat. When I reached the far corner, the sound stopped. Clean silence, like someone had turned it off the second I arrived. I figured maybe it was a fire alarm glitch. Old buildings do that. So I noted it on my log and moved on. At 11:02 p.m., the second strange thing happened. All the Christmas decorations in the lobby flickered at once. The lights around the fake tree, the battery-powered candles on the reception desk, and even the exit sign above the door. Everything blinked in a slow, synchronized pulse. I stood there watching, trying to decide whether it was an electrical issue or something more serious. Then something else joined in, that same beeping sound. But now, louder, closer. It echoed from somewhere behind the locked manager's office. A tight, rapid pulse, almost like a countdown. I knocked on the door. "Hello? Anyone inside?" No answer. I checked my sheet. No one was supposed to be in the building besides me. The beeping sped up. 3 quick beeps, a pause, 3 more. My chest tightened. It sounded like some kind of device. Maybe a smoke detector malfunction, or something worse. I unlocked the office with the master key. The moment I opened the door, the beeping stopped again. No smoke, no alarms, just a freezing, stale room and a desk covered in dust. But then I saw it. Behind the desk, on the floor, were footprints, not shoe prints, bare footprints, long, narrow feet pressed into the carpet fibers, as if someone had been standing there minutes ago. The hair on my arms rose instantly. I backed out, closed the door, locked it hard, and decided to stay in the lobby until my shift ended. At 11:26 p.m., the building got colder, much colder. I could see my own breath inside the lobby. The thermostat showed 68 degrees, but the air felt like stepping into a freezer. The glass doors facing the parking lot had fogged over completely. And in the fog, someone had drawn a message, not with a finger, more like with a long nail. 11:59. That's all it said. I reached for my walkie, trying to radio the on-call supervisor, but all I heard was static. No matter what channel I switched to, the interference was identical, sharp, broken, metallic. Outside, the streetlights flickered one by one, until everything beyond the parking lot turned pitch black. The building sounded too quiet, too empty, like the world had muted itself. At 11:40 p.m., I saw movement. Down the hallway, the one where I heard the beeping earlier, something stepped briefly into the light. A silhouette, tall, thin, the shape of a person, but wrong in the way its head tilted too far and its arms hung strangely straight. I blinked, and it melted back into the darkness. My throat dried instantly. I didn't want to go check, but protocol forced me to. I took a deep breath and started walking, each step crisp on the carpet. Halfway down the hallway, a new noise joined the silence, a steady ticking sound, like a wall clock, except there were no clocks in that hallway. Tick, tick, tick. The closer I got to the end, the louder it got, until the sound was directly behind the door of the storage room, the same room where the lights always flickered during storms, the same room I'd always felt uneasy about. My key shook in my hand as I unlocked it. The ticking stopped. The room was pitch black. But the moment I stepped inside, my flashlight caught something reflective on the floor. A phone. An old brick-style phone with a cracked screen. It lit up suddenly with a single notification. New Year's countdown. 0:59. It began counting down. 59 seconds. 58. 57. My chest tightened so hard, I thought I'd pass out. Every instinct screamed at me to leave, to run, to get out of that building. But before I could turn, something moved behind me. A shadow stretched across the opposite wall, long arms, a crooked neck, a body too tall to be human. It leaned slowly, stiffly, like it was trying to peek around my shoulder. I sprinted, not toward the lobby, toward the exit door at the side of the building. My boots slammed the floor as I fumbled with the lock, finally bursting into the freezing night air. The parking lot was coated in fog, the kind of fog that blurs edges and swallows shapes. Behind me, the building lights flickered violently, like the entire electrical system was short-circuiting. The phone in my pocket, the one I didn't remember picking up, buzzed. 0, 10, 0, 9, 0, shows us wait. I threw it into the snow and kept running. The fog behind me shifted as something stepped out of it. Tall, leaning, silent. I didn't stop, not until I reached my car, ripped the door open, and locked myself inside. The phone's beeping carried across the parking lot, muffled by the snow. Euro 03, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, I braced for an explosion. Nothing happened. Instead, the building's interior lights turned off, all at once. Then, through the fogged-over glass of the main entrance, I saw a figure standing inside the lobby, motionless, facing the door, watching me. I drove off so fast I almost spun into the ditch. The next morning, the property manager called me. He wanted to know why all the electronics in the building had shut down at midnight. He also said something else. There's no cell service in that entire wing, hasn't been for years. But we found footprints, barefoot ones, leading from the lobby to the storage room. I quit same day, and every December 31st, no matter where I am, I still hear that faint beeping in the back of my head, counting, waiting, getting closer. The worst part wasn't seeing the man on the side of the highway. It was realizing he knew my name before I ever rolled the window down. I was driving home from a late shift in western New York, the kind of icy rural stretch where radio stations fade and the world feels abandoned. Snow pushed across the asphalt like slow, white smoke. Midnight was less than an hour away. I just wanted to get home. I spotted him near exit 17, standing beside a dented guardrail under the blinking hazard lights of a stopped sedan. No movement, no attempt to flag me down, just a still silhouette, shoulders hunched against the cold. I felt that familiar tug of conscience. Empty roads do that to you. I slowed, rolled the passenger window halfway. "You all right?" I called out. He turned his head slightly, a pale face under the hood. Calm. Too calm. "Evan," he said, "my name." Clear as if we'd met before. I froze. "How do you know?" He didn't answer, just took a slow step forward. I drove off so fast the tires skidded. A mile later, the lane behind me lit up with headlights. A car had merged onto the highway, coming up fast. Same shape, same color, same broken left headlight as the car I'd passed. I tightened my grip on the wheel. No way. I took the next exit, heart thudding. The car followed. Every turn I made, it mimicked. My hands started shaking. I finally pulled into a gas station, one of those all-night places with flickering Christmas lights still hanging from the roof. The car slowed at the far end of the lot, engine humming, before settling into a parking spot facing me. The man stepped out. Same hood, same calm posture. He didn't walk toward me. He just watched. I hurried inside. The clerk looked about 19, earbuds in, bored. "That guy. Did you see him? He followed me off the highway." The kid popped an earbud out. "What guy?" I pointed through the glass. The spot was empty. The car was gone. The highway seemed too quiet suddenly. I told myself fatigue was messing with me. But then the kid frowned. "Hey, weird question, but have you been here before tonight?" "No, because someone came in like 10 minutes ago asking if we'd seen you. Same description, knew your name, said you had something that belonged to him." My stomach dropped. "What did he say I took?" The kid shrugged. "Didn't say, just left when I asked for ID." I stayed inside for 20 minutes, pretending to browse, waiting for my nerves to settle. At 11:47 p.m., I finally walked back out to my car. The windows were fogged from the inside, every single one. I felt the cold punch of adrenaline. I stepped closer, heart hammering. On the passenger window, someone had drawn a message in the condensation. "You should have let me in." I backed away. My keys trembled in my hand. Then I looked down. Footprints, leading away from my car, not toward the road, but toward the dark tree line behind the station. The same slow, deliberate gait I saw earlier on the highway. I got in, locked the doors, and drove. Didn't stop until I reached my apartment 40 minutes later. I was fumbling with my keys when my phone buzzed. An unknown number, nearly midnight. Stupidly, I answered. A low voice whispered, "Exit 17. You left before I finished speaking." I hung up and blocked the number. At 12:01 a.m., fireworks echoed across the neighborhood. I tried to breathe. I tried to calm down. Then someone knocked on my door, once, twice, 3 slow taps. I looked through the peephole. No one was there, except a folded piece of paper was on the mat. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a printed still frame, grainy highway footage, my car slowing near a stranded sedan. The timestamp matched the exact moment I'd rolled my window down. But the picture wasn't focused on me. It was zoomed in on the man I'd seen, a blurred, pale face. And written beneath it, in clean block letters, "This man died on exit 17, December 31st, 1999. Do not stop for him." I read the note again and again. But the part that made my throat close wasn't the warning. It was the last line, handwritten under the printed text. "Next year, don't ignore me." The knocking always started at the same time, 11:56 p.m., every New Year's Eve. But this year was the first time someone replied to it. I lived in a small apartment building outside Cleveland, mostly students and older folks. Nothing fancy. My unit, 3B, faced a brick courtyard decorated with cheap holiday lights that buzzed quietly when the wind hit them. For 2 years straight, someone had knocked on my door 4 minutes before midnight. Soft, steady taps, never rushed, never frantic, never followed by footsteps. My neighbors joked it was a drunk tenant confusing doors. But the hall remained silent after every knock. Too silent. This year, I told myself I'd finally check. Look through the peephole. Do something other than freeze. At 11:45, I turned off the TV and stood in the dim light of the kitchenette. Snow drifted outside. Someone in the courtyard was playing faint music. Auld Lang Syne, slowed down like a memory someone didn't want to let go of. 11:54. Something shifted in the hallway, like weight shifting on old floorboards. 11:55. The building suddenly felt colder. 11:56. 3 soft knocks, perfectly spaced. I forced myself to move. "Just look," I whispered. "Just look." I stepped to the peephole and peered out. A man stood there, mid-30s, clean coat, calm posture, like he belonged here. But his expression didn't match anything. Not curiosity, not confusion, not anger, just a blank attentiveness, like he was waiting for someone to finish a sentence. He lifted his hand again. Tap, tap, tap. My throat tightened. I backed away slowly. Then something unexpected happened. Someone in the hallway answered him. A door opened. 3A, across from me. A woman stepped out. New neighbor. Moved in last week. I hadn't met her yet. "Yes?" she asked gently. The man turned to her, not startled, almost relieved. "I've been trying to reach someone," he said quietly. "I'm supposed to help." The woman hesitated. "Are you lost?" "No," he said. "I know exactly where I am." Her hand tightened on the doorknob. She started to retreat back inside, but he stepped forward quickly, not aggressively, just urgently. "You're in danger," he said. "Please, let me in." Her voice trembled. "From what?" He paused, and then he said, "From the man in 3B." I nearly dropped to the floor. The woman stared at him. "There's no one in 3B. It's vacant." My heart stopped. "Vacant?" Before I could react, the man pressed his palm against her door, trying to push it open. She shoved back. "Sir, stop!" He stepped closer, voice low. "He shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be alive." I backed away from my own door in a panic. My apartment suddenly felt unfamiliar, like I had woken up in a place I didn't belong. Then I heard him say, right outside my door, "He doesn't know yet. He never remembers." My vision blurred. My chest tightened. What was he talking about? The woman yelled, "I'm calling the police," and slammed her door. Heavy footsteps moved toward my door, fast. I ran to the balcony, cold air sliced across my face. I looked down into the courtyard. A man stood there staring up at me. Same coat, same build, same person. But he was outside, and someone identical was in the hallway. My breath froze. The one outside raised a hand slowly and pointed behind me. A soft whisper brushed my ear. "Midnight." I spun around. My apartment was empty, but the air felt wrong, warped, like a heavy echo of something terrible pressing in. The clock on my stove clicked to 11:59. Footsteps approached my door again, soft this time, not rushed, not urgent, more like someone approaching a hospital bed. Then tap, tap, tap. The same 3 knocks, but from the inside of the apartment, coming from the wall opposite the hallway, from inside my bedroom. I ran out the front door, almost crashing into the neighbor from 3A. She was crying. "Who are you?" she asked desperately. Before I could answer, the hallway lights flickered, casting brief shadows. For a split second, a dark silhouette appeared behind me, tall, still, familiar. Then the lights steadied. The shadow was gone, but the man from outside was now standing at the end of the hallway. The same man who had knocked on my door moments earlier, 2 of him, perfectly identical. I grabbed the woman's arm. "We need to go." We sprinted down the stairs, burst into the courtyard, and didn't stop running until we reached the street. Snow whipped around us. Fireworks began popping over the neighborhood. It was midnight. I finally looked back at the apartment building. 3 men, identical copies, stood in 3 different windows, all facing me, and each one lifted a hand and pointed upward to the 4th floor, to my unit. Later, when police arrived, they said 3B has been empty for over a year. The tenant died on New Year's Eve, found in his bedroom at exactly midnight. Name on the report, Evan Miller. My name, except I'm still here. At least, I think I am. But every New Year's Eve since then, someone knocks at 11:56 p.m., and every year the knocks get louder. This year, I'm not opening the door.